Today I want to open this conversation with a simple question that has created a wave of curiosity among millions of Americans. If the government were to send you $2,000 funded entirely from tariff revenues, are you absolutely sure you would qualify? In the last few days, the announcement from former President Donald Trump about $2,000 tariff-funded checks has created excitement, confusion, and a lot of unanswered questions. People want to know if the money is real, if the program is possible, and most importantly, whether they personally stand a chance of receiving it. And the truth is this: the idea sounds simple, but the details behind it are far more complicated than people think. So today, as someone who studies economics, public policy, and household finance, I want to walk you through the full picture. What this proposal really means, how the money would be generated, who qualifies, who might be excluded, and what this could mean for your cost of living, your everyday expenses, and your financial security in the months ahead. Before we begin, let me tell you exactly what you will walk away with today. You will understand the mechanics of the $2,000 tariff dividend. You will understand the qualification rules being discussed behind the scenes. You will understand the economic consequences that could affect your grocery bill, your cost of imports, and your monthly budget. And you will understand the practical steps you should take right now so that if this program becomes real, you are fully prepared. My goal, as always, is to translate complex policies into simple, human language so that you can make informed decisions for yourself and your family. Let's start with the most important foundation. Where does this $2,000 actually come from? Many people think this is a stimulus check. It is not. Many assume it is a tax credit. It is not. This proposal comes from tariff revenues. When the United States places tariffs on imported goods, companies importing those goods must pay those tariffs. The government collects this money as revenue. The idea behind the $2,000 check is that those tariff revenues would be redistributed to the American people as a type of dividend. Instead of using the money for government spending or deficit reduction, the administration would return a portion of it directly to households. Now that sounds straightforward, but here is where things get complex. Tariffs do not come from thin air. When tariffs rise, prices on imported products often rise along with them. Companies pass the cost on to consumers. So if tariff revenues increase enough to create a large cash pool that can be distributed, the cost of living for the average household could rise at the same time. And this is exactly why economists are divided on this plan. Some argue that if Americans receive a $2,000 check, it could help offset the price increases. Others argue that the check could trigger even more inflation, depending on how fast the program rolls out. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we talk about inflation and cost of living, let's focus on the part that matters most to you. Will you qualify? Based on the latest statements from the Treasury Department and the messaging coming from the administration, there are early indicators of what the qualification rules might look like. Nothing is final, but the patterns are becoming clearer. First, the administration has suggested that high-income Americans will likely be excluded. This means the program may follow a structure similar to the income eligibility used in previous stimulus programs, but with one big difference. Instead of sending checks to almost everyone under a high-income threshold, this program might concentrate more heavily on lower and middle-income households. Several reports indicate that families making under $100,000 per year could be the primary beneficiaries. But we need to break this down carefully. If you file taxes as a single individual, the income limit could be lower, perhaps $75,000 or lower. If you file jointly as a married couple, the limit could be around $100,000 or slightly above. If you are head of household, the threshold might land somewhere in the middle. These numbers are not confirmed, but they are consistent with the way similar programs have been structured in the past. Now, let's talk about another group: Social Security recipients. Millions of retirees are asking if they will qualify, and the answer is this: If you receive Social Security benefits and you file a tax return, or your income is already documented through the Social Security Administration's 1099 SSA form, you would very likely qualify under any income-based system. The same applies to individuals receiving disability benefits or VA benefits, as long as their income information exists in the federal tax system. But people who do not file taxes at all need to pay close attention. If your income is extremely low and you do not file a return, you may be required to file something in order to be included. This is exactly what happened during previous federal programs. Some Americans missed out simply because the government had no record of them. This is why preparing yourself ahead of time is crucial. Now let me address another category: immigrants and non-citizens. Historically, federal cash-based benefit programs require a valid Social Security number. This suggests that undocumented individuals or people without valid SSNs would not qualify. But lawful permanent residents, those holding green cards, and naturalized citizens would likely qualify if they meet the income criteria. Now here is where things get especially interesting. Even though the idea of a $2,000 check sounds universal, not everyone will benefit from it in the same way. And this is why. Tariff revenues come from taxes on imported goods. So if your household spends a lot of money on imported products, such as electronics, appliances, clothing, or groceries from overseas sources, the price increases may reduce the net benefit of receiving the check. In simple terms, you could receive $2,000 but still pay more for the products you buy. Younger Americans who spend more on consumer goods may feel the price increases more sharply. Retirees who spend less on imported products may benefit more net. Families with children, especially those who buy clothes and electronics frequently, may see mixed effects. Now let's expand your understanding of the economic side. If this program becomes real, several things will happen almost immediately. Import prices will likely rise. Small businesses that rely on imported goods may pass the extra cost on to customers. Certain industries such as electronics, home goods, tools, furniture, and clothing may experience noticeable price jumps. For households with tight budgets, these increases matter. And this brings us to another important question. Could the $2,000 checks cause inflation? The answer depends on timing and scale. If the government raises tariffs aggressively and then distributes money quickly, consumer demand could spike in the short term. This could push prices even higher. But if the distribution is more gradual, the inflationary effect might be smaller. However, one thing economists agree on is this: the money is not free. There is always a trade-off between tariff-funded benefits and consumer prices. Now I want to shift the conversation to something practical. What should you do right now? The first step is to ensure your tax information is accurate, complete, and up to date. If you have not filed taxes in the last year or two, and your income is low enough that you are not required to file, you should consider filing a return anyway. This creates a record in the system. The second step is to review your identification documents. Make sure your Social Security number is accurate on all tax forms. Make sure your mailing address and direct deposit information are correct. During previous federal programs, millions of payments were delayed because banking information was outdated. Do not let this happen to you. The third step is to follow official announcements, not social media posts, not rumor-based websites. You should check the Treasury Department, the IRS website, and official press releases from the administration. When a program involves money, misinformation spreads quickly. People create fake websites. Scammers send text messages asking for your bank details. Government agencies do not do that. So be cautious. Let's take a moment to talk about the bigger unanswered questions. When exactly will the payments go out? Will the full $2,000 be delivered at once or split into multiple payments? Will the income thresholds be adjusted for inflation? Will the payments be taxed in the following year? Will eligibility be determined using your most recent tax return or your upcoming one? Will certain groups such as students, caregivers, or gig workers require special documentation? None of this has been finalized, and this uncertainty is exactly why millions of Americans are confused. So let me give you a professor-level perspective. When a proposal is as large and attention-grabbing as a $2,000 tariff check, the main challenge is not the idea itself, but the implementation. Policymakers must determine how to track eligibility, how to distribute money, how to prevent fraud, and how to ensure the program does not destabilize the economy. From an economic standpoint, whether the program works depends on one key question. Can the tariff revenues actually cover the cost? And the honest answer is this: not yet. Current tariff revenue is not high enough to fund a universal $2,000 payment to every American adult. To make the numbers work, tariffs would need to rise significantly, or the program would need to be limited to a smaller group of people. This is why income limits are being discussed. Now let's bring this home. What does all of this mean for you? It means that if you are a middle-income or lower-income household, especially one earning under $100,000 per year, you may be positioned to qualify. If you are a retiree living on Social Security, your chances are strong. If you file your taxes consistently and your records are clean, you are ahead of the curve. But if you are someone who has not filed taxes recently, or someone whose income is difficult to verify, you may face challenges unless you prepare now. In closing, I want to leave you with a grounded and honest message. The idea of a $2,000 tariff-funded check captures attention. It sparks hope, excitement, and debate. But as with any policy, the reality is more nuanced. There will be winners, there will be losers, and there will be unexpected outcomes that the public does not see coming. My goal is not to convince you to support or oppose the idea. My goal is to help you understand it, to help you make sense of the economic forces shaping your daily life, and to guide you with clarity so you can navigate the months ahead with confidence. If you found this breakdown helpful, I encourage you to share your thoughts. Do you believe you will qualify? Do you believe the program is financially realistic? And most importantly, if you received $2,000 tomorrow, how would it impact your life? Your voice matters, your experience matters, and your perspective helps others who are trying to make sense of the same questions. If you want updates whenever the administration releases new information or when new economic analysis becomes available, subscribe to the channel. I will continue to follow this story closely and bring you factual, balanced, and easy-to-understand explanations every step of the way.